There you go, ladies and gents. Our first word on Better Call Saul is a cough, which tells you about our current situation because, as he is called in our current chat,
Ah.
shit lips. Uh, it says shit lips has joined the room in which we do our chat. But anyway,
Hello.
that's Josh. I'm Tom,
Yeah.
and well, MJ, whichever one.
How,
And
how are you,
today
MJ?
I'm
How are
very
you?
good, but I don't care about
No,
your health. We're here to discuss one thing and one thing only, which might
I'm not.
sprout into a bunch of other things. We're here to chat about Better Call Saul, season six, was it? Was
Pardon
it
me.
five?
Five. It's five.
I'm
I don't even
losing
know what you're talking
track. Like, when you live inside, you lose track of numbers and meaning. Months go into each other. Like, I fully expect to see Better Call Saul season six next month because I hope they filmed that stuff already.
about. They didn't. They did
God
not.
damn it. Well, if they're filming in New Mexico, that should be safe, right? It's too hot for the coronavirus to sprout there.
Well, they can just do what I've been doing, and that's injecting disinfectant into your bloodstream. Just following the advice of the president.
Well, there's more filth
Straight
in
in.
you than that corona
Mainline
that
it.
they need to cleanse, so that might help.
Mainlining that disinfectant.
What a fucking toolbox, man. But let's keep it on
What are you
topic.
talking about? There's
Let's
no
go.
proof that it doesn't work.
Let's stick to Better Call Saul, which is what we've been doing. So let's get some brief thoughts about the season from you. What did you think of season five?
What again?
Yes, again.
Uh, um,
Just because he said it, let me
what?
point out a few problems. We spoke about this the other day, but we had some
Did we?
technical issues. So we did have our brief overviews of what we thought of the season. So now we're going to go through it again. But it should be
Ugh.
faster, more energetic, because Josh was grumpy the other day. I'm not sure if
No,
you
I
could
was
tell him
not.
the
Why?
connection. And his connection was dipping in and out. So I was like, geez, this guy
Not
needs to sort it
once.
out. He's got a dodgy phone that never seems to work. And now we've got him a laptop
Yeah,
that
a lot of deals
works.
happen on that phone. A lot of deals happen on that phone. That's all I'm gonna say. So, yeah, Better Call Saul season 5, I think was excellent. As good or better than the previous season, which I also loved. And I think based off the strength of like the season, the show just seems to get better and better. I think you got to start making an argument that this might be the best show of all time, alongside, and the only other show it could compete against is Breaking Bad. So, as I said, I loved it. Obviously, we'll discuss things in more detail later, but I think this is, without question, the best television show on TV right now. Like, it's not even close.
LT, when you say best
Oh,
show of all time, what do you
yes.
mean
I
by
mean,
that?
I mean, it's better than Game of Thrones. I'll tell you that much.
And The Wire?
Well, The Wire is definitely in that conversation. The Wire is definitely in that conversation. So is The Sopranos. So is Breaking Bad. But I think you got to start throwing in Better Call Saul.
And we better
I
start
don't.
taking
I,
out The Sopranos. Uh, I
oh,
think
you don't like The Sopranos?
I think it's okay. Uh, I'm expecting this like fantastic show, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, it's okay. My
You're just
girlfriend
racist.
loved it, but I was just like, I could live without it. It
Beautiful.
wasn't like groundbreaking to me. It didn't grip me or anything, so just left me
Interesting.
a little empty. But my brief
What
thoughts
do
of
you
the
think?
show was, I thought the season was really strong, but I thought the finale was a bit weaker than the preceding episodes. I thought the episodes that came before it were top notch and they built upon one another. Uh, were tense, especially for a prequel. But the way they managed to write around things is really clever. And how everything's building up is fantastic. Again, I look forward to watching Breaking Bad season 3 onwards after the show. I keep saying after the show as if I'm going to watch season 6 next week and then I can watch Breaking Bad after that. I might have to postpone my Breaking Bad binge for another year until we get the final season because I want it all to interconnect smoothly for me because I think it is tightly knit that that will work, that you could skip seasons 1 and 2 of Breaking Bad if you've
Well,
already
he
seen it because
shows
you have an
up.
idea of what.
He shows up though in season 2.
Does he?
Saul does, I mean. Yeah, it's in season 2.
Is Mike and Gus season 3 onwards then?
Mike is at the end of season 2. Gus comes into it in season 3, I think. Or I could be wrong. Maybe Gus even shows up at the end of season 2. But
Hmm.
definitely the Better Call Saul episode is in season 2 of Breaking Bad.
I
Uh,
I
the
might
eighth
go.
episode of the second season.
I actually might go and check out that episode of Saul's introduction just to see how much is changed or how much is familiar because sometimes I feel that when you go back to see a character's first introduction, uh, it's really interesting to see how that character's changed over the years. But I felt
Mm.
like Saul's always been pretty consistent of who he is. Uh, but this background we've got about him, it's more about him trying to. I don't know how to describe Saul. I wouldn't say he's a slimy bastard, but he can be.
Oh
Like, do you
God.
get what I mean? Because we see
You
that he
mean in
does.
Breaking Bad?
Huh?
You mean specifically in Breaking Bad or in this show?
In Better Call Saul. In Breaking Bad, he definitely came off as slimy, but I feel like Saul's fleshed him out quite a lot. Uh,
I'd agree with that.
where we definitely see the other side of him, where he has that slimy conman persona, but he's just quite a laid back guy who just wants what he feels is owed, and he always feels like he's being shit on. So this is just like a result of what he has to do to get ahead. Uh, and even though he tries to get himself out of the situation, it just seems to be his natural calling, like his ground to go to.
Mm.
Uh, but looking forward to that. So let's get into a bit deeper, as they all say. I want to ask, because we spoke about this the other day, I heard the good stuff. I want to know if you thought this season had any down points for you, like any points that didn't quite work. Like, let's get the negative out
None.
of the way.
None.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that. Like, thinking back on it, I didn't really have any issues with the season at all until the finale. Uh,
See, I don't know what you're. Okay, I understand what you're saying with the finale in that it
yeah,
wasn't as good as episodes 8 and 9, but I did not see it as a disappointment at all. And I think it made a lot of sense and kind of built on all the storylines that were leading to it. It just did it in a very unexpected way. Where,
yeah.
like, I said this to you like, several times. I was expecting Kim to be taking a trip with the vacuum repairman at the end of the season. Um, that didn't happen, but and then if you really, because it took me a bit by surprise, like what happened in the last episode with her character. But you sit back and you think about it, and it makes a lot of sense, and it kind of adds a new wrinkle into. We seem to have we seem to have like an idea of. I mean, most people was thinking either what I was thinking of, like she's going to take she's going to have to make this call. That's how we'll get introduced to that character, the Robert Forrester character, or she's. I mean, some people suggest that she's going to get killed off. I've never thought that, just because I don't think that makes sense with the character of Saul that we see in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
But that was a possibility people were thinking about, and now it's looking possibly like she could do herself in. So
See,
and then the whole thing with Nacho and Lalo was excellent. Definitely the highlight of the episode. I really liked the last episode. It annoys me because now like, there's these. I mean, there's these threads that I now have to wait a year plus to see where things go, but that's just the nature of television. But uh, yeah, it wasn't as good as episode 8 and 9, but another logical progression of the story.
But that's the only issue. Like each week felt like it got better or better. It was consistent. Whilst
Mm.
10, I at least felt like a drop off. Like to me, I was like, oh, I didn't like this as much as the last week. Like
Did you not like the Lalo taking down all of Gus's men? By the way,
like
with spoilers for this entire season,
I thought that
so if
was
you
a
haven't watched
good
it, fuck off.
scene. Uh, but again, I'm just like, oh, these guys are a bit incompetent in getting the job done. Because I thought we was going to end it with Lalo and be done with him for this season. Like I thought it was a goner. Uh,
Oh, I'm glad he's not, because he's one of the greatest characters in this universe. I love this guy.
well, that family are fucking
They're all great.
horrible.
You mean
Like
horrible in a good way?
horrible is like that
Great
bastards.
characters, but they're bastards. But they're great
Yeah,
characters. I love. They're all iconic characters. Like
I
all.
I I want to give a shout out because I always forget about this guy. Uh, the guy in the wheelchair, Salamanca.
How do you feel? How do you forget about Hector?
I don't forget about him. I forget that he's an able-bodied actor. Like
Yeah.
we've seen him move around, but in my head I'm like, God, this guy's like in a wheelchair, man. Like he's so fucking convincing.
I love that he plays it like bordering on over the top, but it just works.
Yeah, like it's just
Like the
outstanding the
facial
way this
expression,
exactly
that
like
is so exaggerated, but it's like there's no real other way to play it. It's just brilliant.
yeah, like the exaggeration makes sense because he has to try so hard to get his face to work,
Yeah,
and it's like you could see that, and I love where he's leaving and he looks back to like his uncle and he's at the fucking birthday party or somebody's leaving party. It's
yeah.
like this poor bastard, man. Uh, but I enjoy that. That's what was really funny. It's like, oh, I really think your uncle would enjoy it. It's like, yeah, wait one moment. And the nurse like, oh, okay, I'll step back.
They're like fuck off.
Yeah, he's like,
You don't fuck
damn.
with the Salamancas, man. Like
Yeah,
the twins are iconic. Tuco, and now you've got Lalo, who we didn't even know was a factor, because the only in hindsight the only reference we ever got of him is the Bond line by Saul in season 2 of Breaking Bad. So like, um, but they've somehow crafted another incredible villain who's completely different to Tuco and the twins and Hector.
yeah,
And even like if you want to factor in Gus and all the other villains that are in Breaking Bad, this guy's completely his own thing. And he's so charismatic and charming that I just can't help but like the guy.
yeah.
But he's so evil.
Like,
The scene in the last episode where he winds down the window and he's just grinning.
I mean,
I love this guy.
it's interesting to see where this is going to wrap up next year because we've been dealing with the flashbacks, well, flash forwards,
Flash forwards,
and
yes.
we've been dealing with what we'll call the past. It's hard to describe a show.
Well, that's the thing we talked about last time, is like this show is so skillful for a prequel because we know what happens with Saul. We know what happens with Mike. We know what happens with Gus, but they've crafted storylines with these characters that intersect with these characters that we have grown to care about and want to see what happens to them. So you're not just fully aware of like, oh well, we know that the Titanic's going to hit the iceberg kind of situation. We don't know what's going to happen to Kim. We don't know what's going to happen with Nacho and Lalo, and they're all intersecting with the characters that we do know what happens
Yeah.
with. So it's created, especially Kim now. Kim is completely a character who's got the audience's investment with her relationship with Jimmy. So it's now less about how does Jimmy become Saul, and it's more about what happens to this relationship that sends him completely over the edge. I think
And
it's just such a well crafted show. It needs to be studied in writing classes about how to write and structure characters in a TV series.
well, the way some of it works is they play against the expectations. So, for example, the desert scene. We're in the desert.
Mm,
We both know that Jimmy
they're gonna make it out
and
alive.
Mike, they get out of the desert. And at the end, the car's driving down that road towards Jimmy. And we're like, this is how they get out the desert. He shoots the guy. They take his car and they go home. But they
Nope.
go against your expectation, and you see that plan unravel. Literally, that car just destroys itself. And you're like, nope, that's not how we get out the desert.
Well, it even goes into the best scene of the season, which is Lalo in Jimmy's apartment with him and Kim.
Yeah,
And we know obviously Jimmy's not going to bite the bullet, but we've been put into a situation where like, is this how Kim dies?
exactly.
Or does she get kidnapped? Does she get taken? Like, what happens? Like, it's expertly well crafted television. It's phenomenal.
Well, circling back to Kim, I think this was maybe an issue. Was her character
Uh-oh.
moments at the end of the finale. Uh, I felt like I was Jimmy, where I was a bit shocked by what was happening. Like I didn't know how to take it. Just as I felt like I was Kim uh, last year, where Jimmy's just suck at everyone in that room, and
Mm.
even Kim brought it hook, line, and sinker, and Jimmy's like, "No, I just had to play those fuckers out, so they'd give me my license back." It's like, "Ooh."
So good,
What
man.
was this year? It was Kim's turn where we thought, no, don't get me wrong, we've seen parts of her go down that darker road where she lies to one of her clients and she uses Jimmy's idea to try and get him to take the deal. Uh, and she's been doing some shady stuff throughout the year, but this felt like it felt like we missed a step.
I don't agree with that.
Come on, man.
Well, we look at all the puzzle pieces. I said this to it in the show the other day, is that the show feels like a giant puzzle, and we're just getting pieces, and then by the end of it, we'll see the complete picture kind of thing. And this was just another piece of the puzzle, and now you add it up with all the other pieces, it starts to create a picture, which is Kim is a character who's very, she doesn't like people's help if she can. She's so confident in her own abilities, she thinks if she puts in enough work, she's the best and can overcome any situation. And she doesn't like being doted on. She doesn't like um, feeling like people are trying to help her out or whatever. Like she's very self-assured and wants to do things on her own terms, so to speak. And when you have Hamlin come in and try to be and White Knighter, she really reacts negatively towards it. And we've seen her get the thrill from doing the Slip and Jimmy stuff with him occasionally. And she's seen that Jimmy's way works and gets him ahead and is successful. And she also kind of half resents sometimes when Jimmy comes in and steps in and tries to take over and help her out. I.e., the big scene that you loved in one of the, I can't remember which episode it was. but the you know which scene I'm talking about. Help me out here
No, I
with
don't.
Mesa Verde. Yes, you
But
do.
one where he
Don't worry.
plays back for DVD.
Yeah, the DVD. Like so.
Oh
Um,
God.
I like I said, like initially it does feel like, oh, where did this come from? But if you sit back and think about her character and how she processes things and how she reacts to things, this is a progression of all of that. Has she gone this far before? No, but it's a progression.
But it doesn't even feel like warranted going after Hamlin. Like usually it's been something that you could kind of agree with it. Whilst
Mm.
Hamlin, I feel like he's almost getting like the raw end of the deal. Uh, like
I don't disagree with that, but I don't know, something like this season has been pushing her over the edge bit by bit. Ever since the end of the season before, she's been pushed further and further. Even if we look at a situation where which I thought was an excellent scene where her and Jimmy are having that fight after um, that DVD case thing with fucking Mesa Verde, and and you're expecting him. This is where the relationship ends. She's going to end the relationship, but her idea is just, all right, let's get married then. This is how I'll fix the situation. She leaps to these things out of her own ego. And much like every other character on this in this world, from Walt to Gus to Saul, everyone, Chuck, they've all been undone by their own egos. And now she thinks she's going to be able to sort out another problem because she thinks she's smarter than Hamlin and she's smarter than everyone. So I understand what you're saying, but I think that this is just all part of her downfall, and we all expected her to just the innocent Kim to be taken down by Jimmy, who who goes bad. But it looks like she's going to be I can't even think of the expression. I'm too tired. The master of her own downfall, the orchestrator of her own downfall, which falls in line with everyone else's character in this series, which plays into something we talked about the other day, which is the show feels so unformulaic, yet there is a clear formula, but it always feels fresh.
yeah.
And they've done it again with this Kim character.
Well,
They're following the same pattern, but it feels completely unique and fresh to itself without falling into that pattern where a show runs for so long and it just feels like going through the motions of like, oh yeah, this is what the show does over and over again. But it doesn't happen on Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul. It always feels fresh, and it never feels like we're just doing the same thing. Yet there is a pattern. It's an odd one.
okay. Another thing I want to point out whilst we're on the Jimmy and Kim relationship. Uh, Watching this season, I was speaking to my girlfriend. I'm not sure if you picked up on it, uh, but it's a lot more apparent to me this year. If I rewatch other seasons, it might even be in there, but this year I felt like there's a lot more, not nudity, but the characters of Kim and Jimmy, they were a lot more exposed. Like we saw a lot more of their flesh, and I wasn't sure
Hmm.
if that was purposely done. It is purposely done, in my opinion, because we don't usually see these characters in that light. Uh, like we see them in their routine of like sleeping together, which was like pretty mind blowing because I feel like throughout the seasons we've never actually seen like a sex scene with Jimmy and Kim.
Yeah, I don't recall. There definitely was more of a exposed leg, exposed shoulders kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, they've definitely just had sex.
Yeah,
They're naked under that bed sheet kind of thing. But I mean,
like seeing Jimmy, like I felt like the actor Bob is Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk, yes.
I think he must have had it in his contract. He was like, "Look, I'm in my 60s and I'm looking good. It's all down here from downhill from here. So I'm gonna get some like immortalization going on here. I'm gonna get my body on film so I can look back. Because I
Let's
felt
be
like
fair. He's in his mid-50s.
I
He's doing
think
all right.
mid
He's
50s, maybe
57.
60s. Uh,
He's
but I
57.
57, bloody hell. Some of these guys are a lot older than I expect, but it's crazy.
Well, didn't you
Uh,
tell me that Rhea Seehorn is like in her 50s or something?
she's 47, I think.
40. Yeah, she's 47. That's ridiculous. She looks like she's in her like early 30s.
That's
Early
all
to
I
mid
thought.
30s. I'd say like 30. I'd say 34, 35. And I'm like, whoa, this
Yes.
woman's incredible. Like
And we're not watching
sipping
it
from the
on
fountain of
like
youth.
standard def like
No.
Netflix or whatever you're watching it is pumping this out in like 4K HDR, so you're seeing details and like, damn, Rhea
Let
Seahorn
me,
looks fantastic. I think all
let me
the
tell you.
actors look fantastic for their age, apart from Mike. I just feel like Mike
Well,
is old as fuck.
but that's what the thing is though, like he doesn't look much older than from when we first saw him. He's just
It's weird,
like
isn't it?
he just looks old. Like I'm honestly impressed by the show in that it hasn't been that noticeable that this is meant to be like what a few years before Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
and the characters look okay. Like the only time I remember it was ever noticeable was in Breaking Bad at the end when they did a flashback with Jesse and Walt, and Jesse's was a bit more fat in the face in the flashback than he
Yeah.
was when he was, and I was like, that annoyed
Like
me. But
Aaron Paul definitely looks like he gained a few pounds in the face, and that's always distracting for his.
it wasn't like he got fat either. It was just like he got older and wasn't like as youthful in the face. Like
Yeah.
when you get older, you're not as haven't got those like sharp, thin features.
Like he
But
didn't look. I don't know how to describe. Like his hairline always makes him look older. So
well, that's why
now
they
he's,
shaved it.
yeah, it's like God, poor Aaron Paul. Uh, but just going back to like the nudity, I felt like there's exposing it for a reason that these characters now, there's
Oh, they're more exposed.
more exposed, but there's not much left between them anymore. And I think that's where the season ends, where it's like true colors are shining. Like Kim puts on this uh, like impression that she's by the book lawyer, and as we see her more in that comfy surrounding with Jimmy, we start to see she's okay with certain things. She doesn't pester him about the truth when she finds that cup. It's kind of like the truth will come out, and even when the truth does come out, she isn't angry with him. She's more sympathetic with the fact he went through it. She's not pissed at him that he put himself in a situation.
It's the complete antithesis of the Walt Skylar relationship.
Yeah, like if they had Jimmy and Kim aren't having the I'm the danger conversation. She's kind of like,
Damn
God.
danger.
She's more like, God, you poor bastard. I'm so glad you got out of this alive, though. Like,
Yeah, I guess it's the fact that they don't have children, maybe. And all I mean, it's a completely different character to Skylar, but you can understand. In hindsight, I think Skylar White got a lot of flack
yeah,
that she probably deserved from the fans. But I'd say a factor in that is like she's got to look after her two children, where Kim's just, it's just all about her and Jimmy.
yeah.
Um, I tell you though, Rhea Seehorn is if she doesn't win all the awards for her performance this season, then I don't know what the hell's wrong with the people who vote on these things because she's been phenomenal. Probably the MVP of the entire season.
Hmm.
Like she's just a phenomenal actress, and this season again, she's killed it every single time. That scene with her and Lalo and Jimmy was just as good as it gets.
I mean, this is what I want to point out about her as well. Uh, Whenever we get her storyline, it feels like she's one of the boys. And what I mean by that is usually like with female kind of storylines, we get the boring shit scenes. Like for Skylar, for example, she rarely had any interesting things. Whilst with Kim, I always
Scarlett's interesting storylines were always when it was paired with Walt. It was
like,
never with fucking her boss or whatever the fuck and all that other shit. Like
but
as good as that, I mean that stuff's still good. It's just not as interesting as what was going on with Walt and Jesse and Mike and Gus and whoever else. Whereas Kim's is as good or better than everything else on the show.
like, does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because I always find like sometimes you go to these like storylines with that character, and you're like, ugh. But it's like actually what she's doing makes sense. It's interesting. She's trying to play things by the book. She's seen as like a bad guy. She does things secretly. She still feels bad about it. Uh, like that stubborn guy with his house and like
yeah.
that.
I love that old guy. I love that guy, man.
I love, I love the way they describe things. So it's like, where Jimmy's like, "Did you get that picture I sent you?" It's like that's what we're gonna do to Mesa Verde or whatever. And you're like,
Jeez.
"Geez, it's so great." And maybe you see like, uh, not a time lapse, the montage of the various ways he's scuppering their plans to go ahead. So it's like,
Has,
oh, it's a
has,
religious finding. It's sacred ground. It's tribal ground. It's this ground. It's the wrong number.
has there ever been, factoring in both Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad into this, has there ever been better executed montages in film or TV than these two shows?
I was gonna say, I think these always stand head and shoulders above the rest. Like, there's always that one montage. I always know it off by heart because it's like crystal blue persuasion, and it's fucking going over like aerial shots of the tents moving from house to house so they could do their
Yep.
cooking, and it's. I was like, that's one of the montages I always look at. And it's always clever the way it's. I always want to see the script to see how this montage is put together because I appreciate the editor probably has a role, but I'm never sure if it's the script or the editor that's
I think
bringing
it's
these together.
I think it's the whole thing just
Yeah,
coming together. Everyone who works on this show just seems to be the
I'm very
absolute
game.
best of the best. Yeah, like pros, like they know what they're doing.
Like, I say this to my girlfriend when we're watching it, I was saying, Better Call Saul has deceptively good cinematography.
I wouldn't say deceptively good anymore. I think it's just phenomenal. I think it's just great. Like I don't even. It's just I've been impressed by the visuals. This is something I was going to bring up later, but like I feel like the longer Breaking Bad went on, they clicked into okay and figured out the rhythm of how they like to pace things, how they like to film things,
Yeah.
and you saw a natural evolution where they came into Better Call Saul with all that figured out already, and it's just been top notch from the get go.
I mean, what I mean by that is like, when I say deceptively, when you think of like shows with good cinematography, I never think of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul straight off the top of my head. But when I watch them, there's things going on, like the composition. I definitely think the show has some great composition with its shots. Like I'll look at the frame and I'm like, what's going on here? What's this mean? And there's a lot of restraint. It's not always getting up close to show you what's happening. Sometimes the camera's left further back, and
Mm.
you get to find out things later on. I'm trying to think of an example where the camera and the audience are left behind so we don't know the plans until later on.
Yeah, I mean, that happens so, like, it's going back to that formulaic thing where you're not
Yeah,
realizing, seeing the formula before you, but they do that so often. And it
like
always is great. The best ones were always, like, a good example of it, I mean, is anytime Mike's putting something together, or when
yeah,
Walt was putting something together, like building something or doing something, there'd be like a, 5, 10 minute, 15-minute build to it, and then you'd finally see the payoff for it.
yeah.
And you're like, where is he? What's he doing? What's he making? What is this? Or even Jimmy. Jimmy does it a lot. Like
That DVD.
the, the DVD, but the earliest season where he's putting the numbers on the pieces of paper at like the printing place, and he's fucking over Chuck by making it look like, you know what I mean? Like that built up like almost like half an episode, and you're like, what's he doing? And then it all comes together.
I mean, uh, again, I've spoke to you about this before, but Better Call Saul is always great at like laying these nukes to go off. Like you never expect them to be as cataclysmic as they are. Like you see the plan unfolding, and it once it goes off, you're like, oh my god. Like I thought it was gonna be bad, but this is like bad. Like that DVD, you're like, okay, what's he doing here? Because you just think it's going to be a generic advert, but he goes
Yeah.
like on another level. And then, like, you could hear like his balls dragging across the floor as he leaves the room, like he's whistling, "Here comes the money," or something like that as he leaves the room. And it's like, oh my god. This fucking guy, and he doesn't even leave the car park. He's waiting for the phone call to sort it out.
Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, like you can't dent this guy's confidence. You can't dent Saul's confidence, but you can dent Jimmy's. Uh, it's a
Mm,
weird thing, and if you're someone in corporation that has power, you can't touch Jimmy, but or Saul. But if you don't play by the rules, then you can make him nervous. But that's
mm.
also when he thrives. Uh, it's like getting a Lalo a fake family.
That was great. That was excellent.
But they also do it like in the previous season where uh, he plans to phone on Chuck
Hmm.
and starts ringing it, and it's like, oh god, like it's just when these explosions happen, you see the pieces put together, and you're like, where's this going? Like with Jimmy, you know it's going to be bad. And I said this to you. It's one of the few shows where I've really struggled to look at the scene because I can't watch. I have to look somewhere else because I'm like, it's the tension, but I can't look at these characters' faces as they're trying to like process what's happening, like the shock, and you're laughing along to it as well. It's just brilliant. And again, the show doesn't do itself justice because you can't describe it to people to get people to watch it. Because I feel like even if I describe it, someone I'm spoiling it for, I'm just like, just give it a watch, but don't give up. Like it amounts to something. If you pay attention and you're watching it, like you can be a dummy, just watch it, and it falls together, and it's so satisfying.
I think it plays into that the break exactly like Breaking Bad, where those first season or two for the average television watcher is going to be a bit slow and a bit hard to get through. Where like if you appreciate that pace and you appreciate good writing, good characters, good acting, good storytelling, everything, you're gonna stick with it because you're gonna know things will progress. But I think it's a hard. Both shows are hard to pitch to people. Even some people I can't even pitch Breaking Bad, and that's
Yeah,
I'd say an easier show to pitch, but it's like, yeah, just because you can't even say like the first season or two aren't bad at all. Like, they're great. It's just there's a certain pace to it,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing with Better Call Saul, where it's taken a while to get to this level of intensity. Um, but it's been a time. I don't know. Also, it's a hard show to pitch to someone if they haven't watched Breaking Bad. Well, I think you can do it. I think it makes the experience all the more richer if you've seen all of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
I
Honestly, I don't care about pitching this show to people. I don't give a rat's ass about anyone else. I'm just enjoying it.
I
Fuck
get what you're
everything else.
saying, but I'm like, I view it as a sense of like, the more
And
popular
also,
it is, hopefully the more chances they give to the showrunners to give us more. Like, maybe not more from
no,
a Breaking Bad universe, but just more opportunities to do projects they want to do.
yeah, but see, I think they will anyway, because I think they
Mm,
realize these guys have a following. Like, no matter what, you're gonna have a built-in fan base for whatever they do, and it's just a matter of how popular whatever they do next is.
yeah,
So, and also, I don't care anymore because we know we're going to get that last season. Where early on I was worried that they were just going to cancel the show after one or two seasons.
mm,
But now it's like, well, we've got it locked in. We've got the last season. I don't care what happens now. Just give me
we're
the last
getting it.
season.
Uh,
Doesn't
ano-
matter.
Another guy who I think's uh, quite unheralded uh, is the
Nacho.
showrunner because
Oh,
just from a production team,
cool.
sorry. Uh,
Peter Gould.
yeah, because I always think this is Vince Gilligan's show,
Well,
but
he was like co-creator with it, and like he's done a lot in the earlier seasons, and then took this season off, I think, because he was working on El Camino.
yeah.
But
I
he's back
mean,
next season apparently.
okay, because I felt like he was stepping away and this guy's taking over, and I think he's done tremendous
I
because
agree.
I some shows you can tell where the creative team's changed, but if that's not the case, that Vince has still been quite a big part of the show because I think he's directed episodes, has he? I'm like,
Yeah, he has just nothing this season as far as I remember. I'll just double check, but I don't think he had
yeah,
anything to do with this season, just because, like I said, he
no,
was working on
you're.
Camino.
Oh, he directed Bagman, but
Ah, that's right, he did. So maybe it was season 4 he was off then.
he directed
He may have
Bagman,
been.
but he didn't do any writing for the show, and that was
Yeah,
the
let
only
me
one
just
episode he
check.
did. So he might have took the season off, and
I think actually he didn't write or direct anything in last season. So season 4 was the season he took off completely.
damn.
Yeah.
So
So he's basically been out. Basically been out of the writers' room for the last 2 seasons, which are arguably the two best seasons.
yeah, which
But
it is
I don't know.
pretty wild. Like, what's he been doing? Because he did
He's
El
been doing El
Camino,
Camino.
but that's only like a film. Maybe a lot of work went into that. I just felt maybe he's just
We
taking
just
a
got to look at
break.
the
Maybe it's
timing
just
of
a
it.
deserving break. Like, it's not
Yeah, I
bad.
think it's just the time because you got to put like a good lot of timing into the planning of El Camino. So like probably about 6 months to a year. Then you got to go into production. Then you got to go into post production. Then you got to go into promoting it. So he's obviously had a busy schedule. He's still like the executive producer, so on
Yeah.
each season. So he still does stuff for it. Um,
Well, I didn't think El Camino was something uh, that took him too long to film.
no, but like it's still like you got to do a lot of
Oh,
planning. Like you got to
yeah.
write the shit and like um, you got to do a bunch of stuff. Like especially just you got to pull things together, and it would have taken like a good 2 months or so
Yeah.
to film.
Yeah, it took him 50 days apparently, 50 shooting days.
Mm.
But yeah, I just wanted to give some props to good old Peter
Peter,
because
he's done
the
because he
shame
created the
is,
characters.
did he?
So, yeah, he was the one who wrote the episode Better Call Saul. He was the one who came up with the character. So
Wow. Well, fair play to him because he's definitely unheralded, or I'm very unknowledgeable on the subject because I always think the Breaking Bad universe is pretty much being Vince Gilligan's.
Mm.
So
This guy's as influential. Well, as far as this series, he's probably more influential than Vince Gilligan. It's his show. It's he's done an excellent job. Um, I think you look at all the key, like the main key writers, directors that have come out, except for Ryan Johnson, uh, who've come out of the Better Call Saul family, the Breaking Bad family, like Michelle McLaren, Peter Gould, Vince Gilligan, like all the main players that you could look at who've done multiple episodes. They're all, like I said, top-notch people. They had a good about 6 year experience doing Breaking Bad, and they all worked with Vince Gilligan. They've all become masters of their craft, so to speak.
yeah,
And like you see their names attached to projects now, you're like, well, it's going to be of a certain standard,
yeah, definitely.
except for
Like
Ryan John.
those will be people to keep an eye on. Uh, Again, I just want to see more of this quality around because the payoff always feels very satisfying. Uh, but ironically, Peter Gold did direct the finale. So I was like,
There
oh,
you go. Your
sorry,
your
Peter.
least favorite episode.
I was
Oh,
like hyping
Jesus.
this guy up, and I was like, oh, you directed the finale? Well, you're a bit of a disappointment. Stay in the writer's room.
Well, it's-
Nah, it wasn't a bad episode. It was just unlucky that it was preceded by a couple of bangers and a fantastic season that escalated as we went on. And is there anything else in particular you want to discuss about Better Call Saul? Because I feel like we're
Um,
just scraping the surface and not going into depth in any certain sections.
well, there's only so many ways you can say something's great.
Yeah,
Like, you can't really, there's not much to get into because I haven't got any complaints. I've got any nitpicks, nothing. It's just like Mike again is just the man. He's my favorite character. Gus is like I think Nacho has gone underappreciated for this entire run of the show. I can't remember the actor's name, but he is excellent.
he's
Like in
Canadian as
every,
well.
is he really?
Yeah, I googled him. I was like, "Oh shit, you're Canadian." Damn.
I just think he's an incredibly important cog in this show working is that character, and he's done excellent. And I think Lalo and him this season has been amazing. Tony Dalton, like if people aren't lining up and offering that guy a shit ton of projects coming out of this, then producers and casting agents don't know what the fuck they're doing because this guy is a charisma machine. He is
Hmm.
amazing. Like I'd be lining that guy up. I mean, I've got to discuss a project coming up with Val, a show we're trying to organize with Val. Tony Dalton will be factoring into my plans. Trust me, in my fantasy lineup. That guy is the man, and I love Nacho as well. And then you got the cream with Gus, Mike, Saul, and Kim.
Well,
It's just this cast is unparalleled. The writing's unmatched by anything else on TV. We can go into details about characters and storylines and what. It's like all I'm gonna keep telling you is it's great.
yeah. I mean, the guy who plays Nacho, how old do you think he is?
Ooh, 35.
38.
Oh, that's close. He
Like,
does not look 38. He looks
no, like
much younger.
when you ask a question, how old do you think this guy is? Like, right, I'm gonna go older than what I think he is because he's gotta be
Mm,
older than that. Like, he could get away for late 20s, early
yeah.
30s. I was like, damn,
I tell you,
38.
who looked old in the last episode was Don Eladio, our old friend Stephen Bauer. He looked old, and I need to go back and watch
Oh,
like a Breaking Bad episode to be like, did he look that old then? Because to me, I was shocked. I was like, man, he's looking old. Then you realize Scarface was like in the mid '80s. You're like, yeah, I guess he is getting up there.
well, he is
Looking
63.
old. Is he?
Yeah.
He was great again in that last episode. That guy just is just menacing. Like he's like got that smile on, but you know he'll fucking kill you like at a moment's notice. You just it's the same with Lalo. Like you don't know if this guy's like just gonna fucking whack you. Like,
Oh,
or if he's just like, you don't know if he's fine with you and chill. Like, every scene he's with Nacho, if he just turned around and shot Nacho in the head, I wouldn't be shocked. And if he was just cool with Nacho, it makes, like, I can't tell, because he has you on edge all the time. Because he's such a dangerous character, but he's so charming.
I mean,
Ah,
I just want to
okay.
watch uh, Gus Fring get his revenge. Because I know he
Well,
gets his revenge. I always forget
but he
that, oh,
doesn't.
yeah.
He doesn't. They get revenge on him. Because Hector's the one who takes him out.
Well, I'm referring to the fact where he poisons them all.
Ah, right. But still, Hector's the one who takes him down at the end.
He is, but I
The
felt
main one.
like they kind of did each other in. It's like mutually assured destruction.
I mean, but it wasn't on it wasn't on Gus's terms. It was
But
just Hector's like,
Gus,
we're gonna take this fucker out. Who cares?
but Gus also took out everyone Hector
All of his
liked.
family. We, yeah, well, he took out Hector's family. He didn't.
Yeah.
I doubt Hector liked like Don Eladio and all the other fuckers. Like,
Well,
I
let's
think
just say it was like Hector and his people killed Fring and his boyfriend, and Fring killed Hector's family and his cartel gang. Like, when you look at it like in terms of importance, I'm like, yeah, I think Gus Fring won this one. He might have died at the end, but
I got three things I'll bring up here actually. What did you think? Actually, the first one's a bit of a jokey question. If you were Gus's, like, whatever the fuck the kid was, like, manager at Los Pollos Hermanos, on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry would you have been having to clean that fucking thing over and over again?
mate, it was horrible because,
I felt so bad for that guy. He looked
mate,
so rattled. He's like, fuck, what's wrong with it? Like, I don't see anything. I've cleaned this.
it was literally the C1 is your boss, and it's like, do you think that's okay? Well,
It's C1.
let me take another look. So,
We took another
okay.
look at that C1.
Yeah.
Is the episode good to you? Is the episode good to you, MJ?
Uh,
Let me just go watch it again.
exactly. You can totally see that happening.
Poor
And
bastard. Gonna say we haven't. Well, actually, I'll save that one for last. The second one is where the like this woman is 47 or whatever you said. Where
yeah,
was Rhea Seehorn before this show? Why haven't we really seen her in anything of note, at least, before this? And I hope to God we see her in stuff after, because, man, she's just been a gem that's been discovered. Like, what an actress. Where the fuck has she been? Who the fuck's been
like
sleeping on her?
uh, looking at films, she's been in films, but none of these films I've seen.
Yeah, but like,
Uh,
I know obviously she's done work, but like, nothing in like a giant prominent role where she's been like in a movie of note or been put into a role of note. So, what the fuck?
she was
Like,
in 38 episodes of Whitney,
what's that?
a TV show. I don't know.
All I have to say is it just shows you like Whoever the fuck is like making these decisions for these TV and film studios are idiots. Because how this woman hasn't gotten more like big meaty roles to do before this, I mean, obviously she's been busy filming this, but she hasn't
Yeah.
done anything in between either. So like, what the fuck are they? What the fuck are these people doing?
Let's hope she's just
You
getting
know, the
some
crazy
dollar
thing
for
is,
this.
if this was the 1970s, right, and we're living through the that golden age of like the auteur filmmaker in the 70s with Scorsese and De Palma and all those other guys, and that's what the big movies were. It wasn't like a fucking comic book craze, and they're
Yeah.
actual proper movies for adults, not fucking children being made. This woman would be a giant star, and she'd be in phenomenal movies. It's just because of what the industry is like now, and that it's aimed towards fucking man babies who love watching fucking people in tights. Like, this woman isn't a gigantic, well-known name. Like, she isn't a Meryl Streep or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's not getting these big meaty roles because they're probably just not even fucking out there because the industry's fucking full of morons, aimed at morons.
Well,
Am I wrong? You laughing, but am I wrong?
it
The
is a
industry.
shame she doesn't have more work. Uh, I'd love to see what people
Well, I
are
was thinking about
approaching
this
her
the other
for.
day, right? I was thinking about this the other day as like, there could be like, in the 70s, right? We had like this golden age where like Jack Nicholson was doing killer performances like several times out throughout that decade. De Niro was, Pacino was, Meryl Streep, fucking John Cazale. Like, there are so many great actors. Robert Redford. And they're all getting these big meaty roles, and they got these iconic roles that are still being talked about today, 50 years on. There could be these actors out there. Hell, there are these actors out there that are as good or better, or along the same lines as those that could deliver these phenomenal performances, but the material's just not out there because the money is going towards fucking man baby movies.
Well,
People who want to go watch fucking Transformers 7 or fucking Avengers 12 or fucking whatever. Like, these stupid fucking movies. Instead of proper movies written by actual fucking human beings aimed at adults with brains that don't think fucking. I don't know. I'm not going to say too much more because I don't want to start getting mean
down the
towards
rabbit
people.
hole.
Look,
Uh,
there are things I could say that I'll bite my tongue about,
I
but
mean,
I digress.
I like because I always like to look at financials. I'd love to see what the cast are getting paid for this show, because it never looks like an expensive show.
Mm.
But you're thinking, it isn't pulling in numbers either. It is just in this weird place. And the actors aren't big names, but I feel like Bob Odenkirk, I've seen him a lot more in recent years. Uh, I'm sure was he in Fargo? I think he
Yeah,
was in
in
Fargo.
season one,
Uh,
season one.
I feel like I've started to see him pop up more and more in different things. I think he was one of the voices in The Incredibles, the sequel. Uh,
I didn't watch that again.
so
Not 12.
it's one of those where I feel like actors are good, but they might not be getting their worth.
They're definitely not getting their worth because these actors, Bob Odenkirk and fucking Giancarlo Esposito and fucking Tony Dalton, Rhea Seehorn, Nacho, fucking Jonathan Banks, these guys deserve to be in. And also the filmmakers. There are filmmakers today, along with these actors, right? They're relegated to just doing TV that sometimes doesn't get picked up or go anywhere because shows can get cancelled. When they should be making stuff that's along the lines of the William Friedkins, or the Martin Scorseses, or the Francis Ford Coppolas, and what those people were doing in the 70s and even earlier. But the material's not out there because we've been um, we've been force-fed a steady diet of shit for so long that we've now developed into a culture of children in adult bodies, and they don't want to see anything complicated or interesting. They just want to shut their brains off. Well, actually, they don't even want to shut their brains off. Their brains are just off.
Yeah.
They're just in a permanent state of being off because all they want to watch are Marvel movies over and over again. They want to see the same formula, the same shit. And these great actors aren't getting it because maybe they're not aesthetically pleasing. Rhea Seehorn is to me like a beautiful woman, but is she super sexy, most glamorous fucking woman on earth? No, so she's not going to get the roles as Scarlett Johansson gets,
Yeah.
for instance. She's not going to be cast as Captain Marvel. She needs to be cast in actual fucking movies for adults, not fucking man children. Because these fucking man babies don't want to jerk off over her, she's not going to get roles. So, to those people, the executives, and the fans of this shit, fuck you.
Well, I was looking up to see if I could find uh, like a budget for the episodes,
Alright.
but like I couldn't.
Do you think I may have pissed some people off with my comments, MJ?
I don't know. You seem pretty consistent with your comments, so if they've listened to our other shows, they've probably heard it before.
That's
So,
true.
so I would
But
be surprised.
I'm just getting tired of it, man. Because you can't. Like you're saying you can't recommend this show to people. You know why? Because they want to watch fucking garbage. They want to watch Big Bang Theory. They want to watch crap. They want to watch Agents of Shield. Because they're fucking children. They're 35-year-old fucking children.
Bloody hell.
Because they want to still watch the same shit that they watched when they were 11. Like, I'm sorry, Gargoyles is not for fucking adults to watch.
Hey, don't be bringing gargoyles into this. Gargoyles was not
I
a
didn't even
bad
watch
show.
Gargoyles when I was. I didn't even watch that shit when I was a kid.
You don't like gargoyles.
No, like I don't get me wrong. I like what I don't dislike Gargoyles. I just never watched it.
At least
I'll
use a
watch
different
stuff.
example.
Give me another anything on Disney, anything on Disney Channel, trash. Look, I'm all for like I like Infinity War and Endgame. They're good fun movies, but like I don't sit there and that's all I want to watch. I'll go back and I'll watch like Batman the Animated Series or Dragon Ball Z occasionally, but I don't watch it every fucking day. I like to watch other stuff. I like to watch stuff for adults. That's what actually interests me. The other stuff is just like to chuck on, like it's a nostalgic thing every now and then of like, oh, remember this? But I don't sit there pining, going, man, I wish I could watch fucking, I don't know, Recess. I want some Disney Channel shows. I don't even remember anymore. I'm too old.
Don't be hating on Recess. Recess was good.
MJ, you're a man child. Stop living in the past.
It's like, hey,
I don't know.
hey, leave Recess alone. But
No,
you
look, but
said,
there's a place and time for that kind of stuff, and there's an audience for that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying we should stop producing stuff aimed at kids, but I think the audience, the main audience for this shit now isn't even kids. It's fucking 30-year-olds who still watch this garbage and think it's serious and take it seriously. It's like, you fucking idiots. Like, you're meant to have grown out of this.
well,
Like, can you still enjoy it? Yes, but when it's your whole life, and people like, I don't know. To me, it's just ridiculous when you've got people in their 30s on YouTube who are doing like 2-hour trailer breakdowns of the latest Marvel trailer. It's like, do you have nothing better to do with your life?
pays the bills.
Look, no doubt, but like to me, trailer breakdowns are the single worst thing on YouTube, and I'd rather watch actual beheadings than trailer breakdowns.
You're a sick man, man.
No, no, that's I don't want to see. I don't want to see beheadings. I'm saying, given the choice between, I think there's more artistic merit in actually that shit than trailer
Wow.
videos.
Wow. That's like a new
That's how
level
low.
for you,
That,
man.
that's how low I think of people who do trailer reaction videos.
I
I think they're lower than fucking scum.
I can't wait for when the Better Call Saul season 6 trailer comes out because I'm gonna get
We'll
you
do a
online
trailer.
and we're gonna do a trailer reaction.
Then
Gonna
I'll
get a
behead you.
nice camera of you on on the screen, and we'll put you in
Yeah.
like a guillotine, and it's
I'd
like,
rather. Okay, okay. Well then, go even further. I'd rather get beheaded than watch a fucking trailer breakdown video. I'd rather be in the video getting my head cut off than have to suffer through watching some fucking Jeremy Johns fuckwit talk about, hey, let's in this fucking trailer. Look at me, and Captain America did this. Shut the fuck up.
well,
Just shut the fuck up.
let's circle back to something on topic.
Well, yeah,
You said,
my third
yeah,
question.
the third. I was like, there's three things, right? Three wishes. You said two of them. What's the third one?
How good was Mike this season? We haven't really talked about Mike. I think I loved his. It was hard to watch because it was
Yeah.
sad watching him spiral, but what another great piece of acting and work again by Jonathan Banks. Just, I think went a bit under the radar, all of
Hmm.
Mike's stuff. And this is also kind of like a shade of Mike we haven't really seen before,
Yeah. Well, he
which was
definitely
nice.
caught himself, didn't
Yeah.
he? Like partway through the season, he rated the ship. He caught himself. Uh, one thing I do want to ask though,
Uh-oh.
I watched the season week by week, and you
Mhm.
binge watched them, right?
I um, what it was 10. I binged the first 5 or 6, and then I was watching week to week.
What was the experience like going from like watching 5 episodes in almost one sitting? Because that's practically Mike's arc.
Yeah,
Like,
it was tough after going back to week. I'll tell you that
huh?
because it was tough. It was tough going back to week after watching it in a
Yeah.
block. Um, I did that just because that's how time worked out.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, yeah. I guess that was the block of Mike's arc, is then after that he started to get better. But yeah. This show,
Because
it
personally, sorry,
yeah.
I felt I enjoy watching them one week at a time because it makes me
Mm.
appreciate each episode more because uh, finales and cliffhangers, they actually stick with me. Like I think about them a lot more. Whilst when I'm
Mm.
binge watching it, I feel like certain things don't have consequences for me uh, because I've watched the resolution right away. Uh,
See, see, to me, I can still get that experience, right? Because like, if I start watching a show
yeah.
and I start binging it, and then it hits like 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, and it ends in a great thing. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to bed, but I have to because of shit to do. Like, no. Or you're just looking at the clock of like, fuck, do I do one more? Like, do I keep going? So I can still get that experience. But I know what you mean. Like the Lalo, the end of episode 9 was fucking brutal to wait a week to see that finale. But it stuck with you, so I don't know. Maybe I would have had a different opinion on the finale if I had watched it straight after episode 9.
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe you would have had a different opinion on it.
Maybe. Uh, it could very well have been a different opinion because I'd have watched them together. and I don't think I'd have had the disappointment because it would have been sandwiched right next to the other
So,
episodes.
so when you
Uh,
say disappointment, right? So what do you rate episode 9? Which was, I think we can both agree, is maybe the best episode.
See, you know this. I don't do
No, no,
ratings,
I know you
but
don't do ratings.
like
Neither do I. But if you were
when
going
I
to give a
say
rating,
disappointment, I'm not saying episode 10 was bad,
yeah, that's what I'm
but
trying to gauge here.
with
Like,
how
is
good
it
the
like?
other two episodes were, it's like
But is this like like say, let's just for argument's sake say you gave 9 a 10 out of 10. Is this like a 9? Is this an 8? Is this like a rung or two below, or is this like 3 rungs below?
it felt more like your average episode. I think it didn't help because it was supposed to be a finale, and I felt like it was just another episode. Uh,
Do you see this as like Game of Thrones finales, where it's the real stuff happens the episode before, and then this is acts as like an epilogue?
but the tens of Game of Thrones are still very satisfying. Like some of them
I
have just as
disagree.
some of them have just as much batshit things happening in the 10th episode as they do the ninth. But ninth
But
is
we had some
more.
bad shit happening with Lalo. Lalo's stuff was pretty bad shit, where he's taking out all these fucking mercenaries.
He was, but it just didn't
What a man.
feel like it's satisfying on the 10th. Maybe it was just the Kim thing. I don't know. Uh, but I just remember feeling like, it was okay. Like, it wasn't as
Hmm.
good as last week's.
So where do we think this is gonna? What do we think's going down in this last season?
I don't know. Like, I cannot predict these things. Like, we go from season to season, and I know where we're going to head up, uh,
Mm.
but I just don't know how we're getting
Do
there.
you, what do we think about the flash forwards? Are we gonna get half a season with Gene in Nebraska? Are we gonna get one episode, like the last episode with Gene in Nebraska? We're gonna get one or two? Are we gonna get none?
I would like
What's
to
gonna happen?
see, I'd like to see it fully resolved. I don't mind if they have to give a decent chunk of change to it to get it resolved, but I think they're going to need a few scenes.
I
It,
feel like this will actually. I heard it's the last season's 13 episodes.
yeah.
I read that yesterday, I think. So what was I gonna say? I think it's gonna be structured maybe similar. Oh God, I can't even speak today. I'm dead. In a similar way to Breaking Bad, in that I think those last 2 episodes is where it's gonna move towards the flash forward, where everything went to shit in the third to last episode of Breaking Bad, and then the second last episode was like kind of him in purgatory kind of thing, and then he decides to go back to New Mexico in the last episode. So that's maybe how it will go. It might be similarly structured where those last 2 to 3 episodes are what get us towards the flash forward, or get us into the flash forward.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, again,
I don't know. Who knows?
I I
Every time,
just
every time I think of this show, I'm like, every time I think the show's going left, it goes right. So
well, that's what I mean. I just want it to be a satisfying final season. We've put in a good few years into the show.
I don't think
Uh,
it's gonna let me down. I hope to God it doesn't. Like, and they have not let me down once so
yeah.
far. Don't Game of Thrones this fucking thing.
I'm just curious to see
Don't.
how they resolve some of these threads. Now, what I mean is when we look at Gus Fring and Mike, how are we going to resolve that thread when we know those threads end in Breaking Bad?
Hmm.
Do you get what I mean? It's like it's not
Yeah.
like we're going to see him off the cartel in the season, so it's like we know this plan isn't going to come to fruition. Uh,
They have something they have to have something up their sleeve. They just have to. Like they know. I don't see them not having a plan in place from as soon as they introduce Gus.
yeah,
Like
like
they've introduced him for a reason.
like uh, I can't.
Maybe there will be something that'll factor in because Gus is part of Mike's arc. Like Mike's, along with Jimmy and Kim, are the main characters of the show.
Yeah,
Um, maybe something will go because as it stands now, because we obviously love Mike, and this show has only made Mike a more enriched, beloved character. With how his story ends in Breaking Bad, it's very tragic because he did all this for no reason in the end. Because it was all for his family to get his family money. He sold his soul
yeah,
to redeem like what happened with his son and all that kind of stuff. So maybe there will be something in place where we will see there was a like a loop, something like of a loophole, I suppose, where Gus or Mike had a plan to get Mike's family money in case of worst case scenario. So it isn't all for nothing. I don't know.
nah. I don't think that'll do that because it will be too pretty. Like
Not too
I,
pretty, but just like
I
I don't
think
know.
it
There's got to be
ruins like
something
the tragedy of it all.
but at the end of Breaking Bad, Walt in the third to last episode, like he loses everything. He loses his money to most of his money to the fucking neo Nazis, and like has to go like live in fucking isolation. Loses his family, but in the end, he found a way to get that money to them without them knowing. But he achieved what he wanted to do. He did it in the end.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they'll do for Mike. I'm hoping
Well,
they do that for Mike.
I don't want
Come
them
on.
to do it because
I
it
do.
may because that's where the tragedy is from for me. It would lessen that for me. Uh,
I
so I
just
hope
want
they
everything to
don't.
be okay, man. I just want things to be okay for my boy Mike.
I
Fuck you.
just don't want them to ruin that. But I also think, how do you say his name? Lalo. I can't fucking.
Lalo.
Lalo. I think Lalo might be like sort of mini boss in season 6. Uh, like he's a character they could dispense of.
Hmm. Well, he's coming after Nacho hard, man. He saw that drink and he was like, "This guy fucked me.
Nacho
He's
is
coming for blood."
fucked. Like,
I feel like, how's Nacho gonna get out of this show alive? I have no idea. I,
I mean,
I have a feeling he could, but God, it's gonna take something for this guy to get out of Dodge, man.
well,
I'd like to
that's
see him because I like Nacho, but he's in deep trouble. He's in deep trouble.
as extremely bloody tense, where he gets the phone call and it said, "Open the gate at this time," and he's walking out, and it's like, there's this thought at the
He's
back of my
just
head:
sitting
is he
there.
being set up or is he not being set up? Like,
Yeah,
is he being tested? And you see Lalo sitting there, and you're like, oh,
he's just sitting there by the fire with a drink.
yeah.
You're like, oh
It's like you
no.
are
The gate's like
fucked.
right there. You're like, shit.
And
This,
then he opens the gate, and you're like, is there going to be someone there? Is
you
it
know,
going to be
I
on
thought they
his
were just gonna shoot
side?
him.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna shoot him and then go in after Lawler. I was like, yeah, they're just gonna. This was like, Gus is like, yeah, we'll just fucking kill him. Like, he can get us in and then we'll kill him.
I also like
Oh,
uh, Gus's almost lack of humanity towards him. Like
I
Mike,
like Gus's lack of humanity in general because you forget just like how much of a cold-blooded bastard this guy is.
well, that's the
Like,
thing. You've got Mike trying to say, let's get Nacho,
Yeah, let's
out
go
of this
now. Like he's done
situation.
his job. Yeah.
And Mike,
Gus
Gus
is
is
like,
like,
nope.
he's like a dog. Like, he's bit you once,
Yeah.
he bit his previous owners. You keep a gun to his head so he doesn't bite you. And you're
And also,
thinking,
it's like, yeah, it's
bam.
better to have him on the inside, like doing like our stuff. Like, I don't give a shit about him and his dad. Like, this is about me. This is about like me getting my revenge. What do I care about this guy for?
It's like,
Like, he's not. But it's a thing of like, if Nacho was his guy, like Mike, like his other two like main dudes, and like the people who have always been loyal to him, he'll be loyal to them to the end. But because Nacho isn't his guy, it's irrelevant to him. He doesn't think about it. He's like, nope, not my
well,
guy, so it's not my problem.
that's not quite true, is it? Maybe I'm. I always
Well, he
think
killed what's his name
too.
with a box cutter, but
Yeah, I was
that
like,
was to prove a
that.
point.
What was the deal with that? Because that always sticks in mind where I'm like, oh, I guess he's okay with his boys, but then I'm like, well, he did fucking kill that guy with a box cutter, didn't he?
Well, I mean, Walt theorized that it was because he stepped out his boundaries by starting to cook the meth, or it was just to maybe it was just to prove a point. But Walt, Walt, Gus still takes care of his guys. He makes sure everyone gets paid. He made sure like there was medical attention there for Mike,
Hmm.
even though there was the Mr. Burns Smithers moment at the hospital, which always makes me laugh. Where like Smithers has been attacked by wasps or whatever the fuck, and then has to ride the bike to the hospital, falls off the bike, and then the paramedics come out and pick Mr. Burns up and take him in because he's the rich guy. And they did that with fucking Gus, where like Mike's been shot, he's bleeding everywhere. They just pull out Gus, start helping him.
Yeah.
Jesse's like, hey, he's bleeding. This man does not pay my checks.
God. I
What a show.
that was that's a good show, man. But again, I'm gonna have to look at that. Or I'm gonna have to research why Gus fucking knifes that one guy, because you say like he
Maybe he
looked
watched. Maybe he
sacked his
found out he
boys.
watches. Maybe he found out he watches gargoyles.
That could be it. That could be it.
Fuck you.
But is there anything else you've got to say about Saul as we wrap up the show?
Well, ironically, we haven't really talked that much about Jimmy.
Well, what is there to say about Jimmy?
Did some great work this season.
He's always doing
Again,
great work. He's doing the Lord's work. He's
the
helping
Lord's
those.
work.
He's
You believe
helping
in
those in need. Those who need lawyers. 50% off.
I loved it. His scene, like all this stuff with the old man, was hilarious. The scene in that boardroom with the DVD. Um, all the stuff in the desert. Bob Odenkirk just proves, man, this guy's like one of the most talented actors out there. And I
Uh,
think it's just that thing of like, if you give a capable actor good material, they're going to actually do fucking great stuff with it, and not just be a dickhead standing there on a fucking green screen, being led around like a fucking chess piece, like some of these Marvel actors say. Like that's just what God, what's his name? Chris Evans. There's so many
yeah.
Chris's. Chris Evans has said, he gets bored doing Marvel movies because he feels like a chess piece. I'm sure Chris Evans would much rather be doing stuff like Better Call Saul, because you actually get good material to actually do what you've been trained to do, and that's act. Because
I
Bob
don't
Odenkirk's an
know.
actual actor.
I think he's enjoying stuff like Knives
Chris Evans
Out.
also has to be correct. Yeah. I mean, he was good in Knives Out, but I had my own issues with that film.
But back to
A
Jimmy.
murder mystery kind of thing. Yes, go ahead.
Uh, I like seeing how shook he was that apparently he got nailed in the courtroom by that lawyer, where he's saying
Oh
like,
yeah.
you managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of
Well,
victory.
I couldn't figure out what was going on with that because I was like, did Jimmy just throw the case? Like I was expecting it to factor in with like Gus and Mike where they wanted him. I thought there was going to be something where Jimmy took this case to get like one of their boys off or something, and then it
Yeah.
was just like, oh no, he's just rattled.
Like,
So he just took the case to get out of the house to get away from Kim, and he was just so rattled that he fucked up.
yeah.
So like, I was
But
like,
he
ah,
didn't just fuck up. He like
lost
ballsed
it.
it
Okay.
up.
Yeah,
Uh,
I love that that guy just kept giving him shit.
I like how Jimmy locked himself in the elevator with the
Yeah.
judge.
No, no, not the judge. You mean the other lawyer?
Other lawyer or judge, one of them.
It was the other
Might
lawyer,
have been the lawyer,
the
just so
woman.
he could sort through the cases, yeah.
Yeah, that was a lawyer.
And then he
Yeah,
pays off the guy at the end.
yeah. Well, you could tell that's what that was. But again, that's just one of those great classic slippin' Jimmy moves.
But it's one of them where he plays it in a way where you're never sure if he's being authentic or not. Like, that's always the thing with Jimmy. You could see him being the guy is the reason why the elevator doesn't work. But then you see him play it off and you're like, oh, maybe he's being authentic and it's like, no.
I have a little question, a little nugget to think about. Is like throughout Breaking Bad, Mike just always refers to Jimmy as Saul. Wonder what gets Mike to that point. Because like he knows that his name's not Saul Goodman, right?
Probably like a thing where
You
he
just fall
deals
into it.
with
Like,
people as Saul. So
yeah,
when you're referring to Saul, like, no point
yeah,
you calling him Jimmy if the other fucker doesn't know his name is Jimmy.
yeah. I mean, I guess in the first episode he ever has in Breaking Bad, even Saul says, "Yeah, my name's fucking McGill. It's not actually Saul Goodman. They just do it for the fucking homeboys because they want to have a Jewish lawyer." So yeah, mate. I just always find that stuff
I'm gonna
interesting.
watch after this episode show. I'm gonna go watch the first episode that Saul's introduced into. I want to see how it
Better Call
plays
Saul.
out because I couldn't even remember that he says
I love the
that
scene at
line.
the end where he's just like, um, you know, even Michael Corleone needed. Oh no, even Vito Corleone needed Michael Tom Hagen, and he's like, I'm not a. What does he say? I'm not Vito Corleone. He goes, yeah, no shit, you're fucking Fredo. Like I love that Jimmy went from like this super confident, like I'm gonna give this guy shit because he's a fucking dickhead, but I can make money off this moron, to just backing down like in the corner of his office, deathly afraid that Walt's gonna fucking whack him. Like just the how the show went from complete pole opposites. God, it's and you believe each one. So again, quality writing, quality actors. Look what happens when that happens. You get good stuff, not
And
aimed at children.
I think that's a fantastic note to end on. Uh,
I guess.
well, what else is there to say? We've just been praising the show for like an hour. We've been praising it for an hour. We went on like a tangent about Hollywood and writing and Marvel films, which is the norm.
I
And then
noticed
we
you
circled back to
stayed
track.
rather quiet during all that, sitting on the fence as usual.
I just didn't feel as passionately as you did about calling them out.
Why?
I just felt indifferent.
You're indifferent about a lot of things.
Some things bother me, some things don't. But I was like,
I mean,
oh,
things don't bother me that much. I'm more of a nihilist these days. I really don't care. Like, I've been
what?
saying to you,
Actually,
what?
I want to ask this question. So,
Uh-oh.
the other
I think this is
month,
what I was going to say, so go ahead. I think this is
oh,
going to play into what I was about to say, so
maybe
you
it's
go ahead and
different,
ask a
but
question.
the other month, I was saying to Josh on the fandom, I was saying like, bro, no man, I need Hollywood to keep going. Like Better Call
No, no,
Saul
you
is
need to put
so
it in a
good.
context. You
I
need to put it in a
I need
context.
it.
What
I
I
need
what did I
it
say
back.
before? What did I say before that though?
Go ahead, say it.
I said with this whole quarantine pandemic situation, I said I actually sincerely hope Hollywood completely dies and burns and goes away. And I wouldn't miss it at all because there's enough movies and TV shows that have been made from the beginning of film to now, where for the rest of my life I'm satiated. I can watch stuff that I've never seen before, and I will still die before I get to see it all. So it's fine if it all goes away. And you said you need Better Call Saul. I
Exactly.
agree with you. Give me that last season, and then it can all go away.
But we needed to shoot, and that was the thing. I was like, have you seen this season yet? It's so good. I need to see where it ends because there's going to be another season. If I get that, if we tie up all my loose ends,
Yep.
okay, maybe I can go check out a backlog of stuff. But we can't be George R. R. Martin and me right now. I need this season. I need it all wrapped up and finite.
Yeah, look, I'll give you that. Like the only thing that should be put into production is Better Call Saul last season. Everything else needs to stay permanently shut down and just go away forever. But we
Including
need
Australian football.
no, that's different, MJ. We need football back. I need it, and with crowds. You know how terrible it is watching sport with no crowds. As much as they're dirty plebs who shout stupid things sometimes, crowds make the difference. Like watching professional wrestling without crowds is the worst thing. And you know how much I love professional wrestling? It sucks without a crowd. And I hate pro wrestling crowds. Hate them. Especially American wrestling crowds because they're idiots who chant stupid stuff. But they're at least making some noise and there's some atmosphere. AFL, we got one round in before all the borders here shut, like all the state borders, and that shut the competition down for a few, well, still currently shut down. We'll find out tomorrow though about the plan. But we had one round with no crowd, and it felt like I was watching practice games. If that was what it was like forever, yeah, just cancel football completely. But if we get crowds back, I want football back.
I mean,
But if we can ever have crowds again, there's no point. Just don't even do it.
in
I don't
regards
want
to
to watch.
like MMA, like the lack of crowds doesn't
It
bother me
doesn't
too
seem to
much.
factor in. Yeah,
Uh,
because you're hearing the noise of the fighters. But
yeah,
in wrestling, for instance, it's completely different because you shouldn't be hearing and then in WWE. Actually, I've only really seen it with WWE, and I haven't really watched WWE in a year or two, but I've watched clips of like the empty arena shows, and people are coming out in WWE because they perform like robots in that company now. So they're coming out and posing and doing moves and posing to a crowd that's not there because they're just too trained to be like, oh, it's just the worst. It's like,
it
what
is.
are we doing here, guys?
I mean,
It's like, you know what the equivalent is? It's like a fucking blockbuster Marvel movie aimed at these fucking man children, and then Better Call Saul, which is aimed at actual human beings with brains.
well, the thing with like the MMA, like I think I was at the last UFC event that had an audience,
Well,
and it feels like it's been a
did you get,
fucking
did you get,
while.
did you get tickets to Fight Island? Are
Oh
they even
man.
still doing that now that they're allowed to shoot in Florida?
So the plan is Fight Islands for June, and that's for the international
Oh,
fighters.
God.
And in Florida, they're looking to do 3 shows in the same week. So you'll get UFC 249, then you'll get Anthony Smith against Glover Teixeira, and then you'll get
Uh, uh,
Walt Harris against
I have a
Alistair
question
over him.
for you. Yeah. I have a. Do you? Is this? I know you want fights back. We all want fights back. You haven't watched fighting as long as I have, but I know you're a die-hard fight fan. I get that. Has this completely soured you on the business practices of the UFC?
Uh,
Like, take your fan hat out of it. I know you're a little, your cock's hard to see these fights, but um, you gotta be honest. This is just so shady how they've done all this. Like every step since it started. I'm like, I can't, I don't know if in good conscience I can ever pay to see a UFC show again. I'll legally stream it, but I don't know if I could give this company my money. As long as
well,
Dana White's there making decisions. Because he's just, I've never liked Dana anyway, but this is like next level kind of shit with this guy now. He's a
well,
scumbag. I knew he was
this
always a scumbag, but never knew he was this much of a scumbag.
I'm just not sure, like who's in control.
But
Because I
he's the
was
president.
no, he is, but in regards to the fact that the UFC is owned by Endeavor,
I get
and
that.
like because I think they're doing really badly, so they
They are
might be
the
like,
only profitable part of their business is the UFC.
and so they might be like, yo, if you're not bringing in the bucks, what the fuck are we doing? Uh, but I
Yeah, but
also think,
Dana's just. I, I don't think Dana's having put any pressure on him. I think he's just like he wants to do it anyway. They're telling him to. He's like, yeah, I agree. Let's do it.
yeah,
Fights.
agreed, it could be that, but I'd like to.
This is getting off the
It's
whole other topic.
yeah.
This should be a second show. Let's do another show right now.
Let me stop this one and start a different one.
Yeah, wrap up this show. So good night, everybody.
Thanks for
Better
watching.
Call
Bye.
Saul. Better than fucking dickhead children movies.
Okay, I've